Hi, Angie.
Nice to meet you.
So my grandfather, Ray Chastain, was a yardmaster at Southern Pacific Railroad. And during his time in that position, he experienced a lot of what he called hobos back in that day, riding the rails. And he knew that he had to start the mission to do something that will help long-term the men that were in need. They founded the very first mission, which was a soup kitchen. At that point, it just transformed the whole family.
Hi, Angie. Hey, Sherry. This is Lisa.
Hi, Sherry. Nice to meet you. Today, I got a chance to go and tour the Women and Children's Center. And it is so much more than he could ever have imagined it to be. And, you know, I know that if he was alive today, he would be overwhelmed. Hi, I'm Lisa.
Hi, I'm Rosanna. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So tell me what brought you to the mission.
I was going through some hard times, pretty much a lifelong battle with substance abuse. I thank your grandfather so much. Without this place, so many lives have been changed.
It's just overwhelming that there are so many compassionate people in the community and donors that make this possible.
Ray Chastain founded the mission in 1953, providing basic emergency services of food, clothing, and shelter to homeless men.
So I struggled with addiction from the time I was a teenager till I was 40 years old, so almost over a 20-year span. So I came to the mission in 2003 to the Men's Center. I had been homeless for a few months. I think the difference at the mission was they didn't tell me what to do, they showed me how to do it. I was in the long-term program about a year and a half. Since then, I've come to work at the mission. I've been able to work with men in the same situation that I was in. The recovery part of our program, I think, is exceptional in that we really work on transforming the inside of the individual and then allow the outside to change. And basically, Jesus is introducing us to this, that we're all building something. Our life is a building time. I think the biggest difference in my life now as before when I was homeless and struggling with addictions is that I know that people care about me and that have a relationship with the men that I work with. That's a big difference. You know, people have asked me, you know, what's changed in your life, and I usually just tell them everything.
We realized our guests needed much more than a revolving door for shelter beds and meals. So in the mid-1990s, in addition to the daily chapel services and Bible studies, we began to develop support and educational services that included case management, addiction counseling, legal assistance, academic education programs, and life skills classes.
Today we are downtown at the public library. We are feeding my homies, and about once a month we come down here to feed. We do this as a family, and I got involved because I have a homeless son, and I got involved with the Gospel Rescue Mission because my youngest son, he went through their program.
I used to be a drug addict. I was doing crystal meth and crack cocaine. I was living on the streets. I was doing a lot of thieving. I was doing a lot of robbing.
He could be dead, you know? I just wanted him off of the street. You know, I was so worried about him. I gave him $1 and I said, Danny, if you don't take this $1, go on the bus and go to the mission. I said, don't come back to my house. I mean, he was really crystal meth, on drugs, everything. And that was the last time I saw him for 3 months. And when I did see him, it changed his whole life. And he made a 99% turnaround.
This September will be 12 years of sobriety. I'm a graduate from the program in 2008. I've been clean and sober ever since.
Homelessness ends and lives are restored. And that's exactly what they did for my son. His life was restored.
I was a social worker at the time, and I went to ASU online and got my bachelor's degree and my BS in psychology. I used to sleep right about here, and that was because it was more safe. There's less homeless people on this side of town, less chance of me getting hurt or my things being taken. The reason I am homeless is because about 3 months ago, me and my ex split up, and she was using drugs, and I was as well, but I wanted to get out of that lifestyle, and she didn't want to quit, so I left the home in order to get away from the drugs. You go through a drug rehab program, and also you learn life skills, how to deal with codependence. When you're isolated in recovery, it is very difficult to get better because you're just in your own head thinking about all the stuff that's going wrong.
Being a son of God is being spiritually rooted and grounded in God's love.
Being here, I feel I'm so welcome, and I get along with everybody here. They make me feel like they're my brother, like they would be there for me when I'm down. It's a very beautiful thing.
Help him with his family, to provide for them while he's here.
I'm almost crying now just thinking about it, but he's done a lot for me.
After 64 years of serving tens of thousands of men, over 3 million meals, and 100,000 members of our community at our holiday street banquets, we experienced a major setback. In February 2017, the city of South Tucson informed us that they had adopted the new National Fire Safety Code requirements that necessitated cutting our beds at the men's center from 110 to 55. In addition, we could no longer provide overflow floor beds in the chapel, which cut our capacity by another 40 beds. This was a sign that we were looking for, that it was time to look for a new men's shelter that would accommodate 200 beds. Much like we did to open the new women's center, we began our walk in faith for the new men's shelter that will serve 200 men. We are currently exploring several options of buildings and land, and trusting that God will guide and provide as He did for our Women and Children's Center. We are His instruments. He is the provider. We are all given the wonderful opportunity to play a role in God's ministry of Gospel Rescue Mission, whether as staff, volunteers, prayer partners, or financial supporters. So I ask you, what role might God be calling you for to make this vision a reality?